Hot takes, real talk, real issues. You know the deal. We keep it fresh, we keep it true. On Mary with the Voice podcast.
Captain Smart. I know you as Captain Smart.
Yeah.
But let's hear from you. Who's Captain Smart? Where? I know you were born in the village. You make a lot of noise about it.
I wasn't really born in the village, but
No?
I was brought up in the village, right?
Because you're so traditional, so
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a Igbo. I remember the video, your birthday video you posted, like, I'm in my village, I am doing this. Please, let's hear you out. Who is Captain Smart?
Okay, first of all, I'm pleased to be here. Thank you for having me. My name is Smart Chinedum Uzoechi.
Your parents legit named you Smart.
Yeah.
Smart. Did you ever ask your parents, why Smart? No, I actually always wanted to know, but I'm actually funny. I'm asking it now. Did you ever ask them, like, why Smart?
Well, that was what I wanted. So
Really?
they approved it, yeah.
Then when you come out,
No, I wanted it at a later time in my life, so they approved it.
Oh, you added it.
Yeah.
Oh.
But they approved it while I was about to go to secondary school. So I wanted an English name.
Oh.
So I went to them and said, I would like to be called Smart. So they approved it. I'm saying that for the first time.
I'm so emotional about it.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
So why Smart? What happened?
Well, I don't know. Maybe kind of like something futuristic about me at that time. And everybody says, oh, if I say my name is Smart, say, you look smart. You're actually smart. So maybe in God's alignment, I would just put it that way. Yeah.
Thank you for that revelation.
You're welcome.
Okay, so you were born where, and where was your childhood?
Okay, I was born in Port Harcourt. My parents told me that I was in Port Harcourt. Maybe that's why I love Port Harcourt. I later went to spend about 20 years of my life there. Got married from Port Harcourt, so I can say that I'm a Port Harcourt boy.
We are.
Yeah, we're Port Harcourt people.
Port Harcourt people.
We're Port Harcourt people. And somehow, if you're Nigerian and you haven't been to Port Harcourt, I think, like the King James translation of the Bible will say, one thing lackest thou. Yeah. So Port Harcourt is a great place, Yeah, you must touch base with Port Harcourt. So I was told I was born there, and then my parents moved out, and I started to grow up in Umuahia. That's where I'm originally from Abia State, Umuahia. Mm-hmm. So I grew up, Umuahia, Kano. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Kano as well.
Oh, how exotic.
Yeah, because my parents were living they later moved to Kano.
Okay.
So, but I discovered that after my secondary school in 19... I remember now.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, I don't know. After my secondary school, after my primary school, in 1986, I remember. So I asked to move back to the East to live with my grandmother. I don't know why. Again, my parents approved that. So they let me move from Kano. I'm the first of 6 children that were given birth originally. So the first son, first child.
So the pressure.
Yeah, so I asked that, I want to go and stay with grandma. So they approved that. So I moved back to Umuahia in a place called Umuda Isingu.
The tradition.
Yeah, to go live with my grandmother. Okay. So I lived there, and I went to secondary school, there. And it was a good thing staying with my grandmother, So that's where the tradition thing came up, grew up in the village, learning the customs and tradition
all the
of the
rules
people.
and regulations.
Yeah, and having a good village life. And I enjoy it. With all the nature, go to the stream, you eat fruits, you go to the farm, you just know how things are done. You get village wisdom. The wisdom from the village cannot be found elsewhere.
I believe
you can't learn it elsewhere.
that too.
Yeah. The strength you get from growing up in the village, the courage as well.
The elders,
Yes.
around the elders.
Exactly. You just have to survive, you know. So there's no extravagance in the village. You have to manage through things. Things are difficult. So you have to learn how to manage things.
Yeah.
That's why I said wisdom. And staying with a grandmother who showed you all the love. You know, your grandmother is always looking out for you. They always think that she's over pampering you and all of that. But because your grandmother wouldn't want to treat you badly.
Right.
Yeah, because you're her
Daughter's
yeah,
child.
yes.
So you're like a child.
Yeah,
to
you're
her.
a daughter's son. So
Yeah.
she doesn't want to treat you badly. She wants to look out for you. Even when people come after you, she's there to defend you. I miss my grandmother.
No, I was about to say like, yeah, about
Yeah, also rest in peace. I still remember her.
Aw. How long were you in Kano for?
Okay, I was in Kano for about 5-6 years.
So I asked that question because I
Yeah.
wanted to know. I mean, just speak.
I speak Hausa very well. I speak Hausa more than I speak Yoruba. Yeah, I'm a Malam.
Okay, so you were now went to the east, and then
Yeah.
from there, what happened after secondary school?
From this after secondary school, and then I worked a bit because that time I didn't know about a university. Yeah.
You didn't know?
I didn't know because my parents didn't go to school. Yeah, they didn't. So there was no university plan for me. They were just trying to see me through secondary school so that this first son or first child of ours will come out and start working so he can help his siblings. Remember, I had 5 siblings at the time. I'm saying hard because I lost one of my younger brothers, right? In 2016. So that was a plan. They didn't go to school. They were not planning that. If they knew that going to the university or sending a child to the university was not as tough or as huge as they thought, maybe they would have tried to send me, but they didn't know. And I don't hold this against them, right? Because I went to school later, right? So after that, I worked a bit. I started working in a business center, I remember, just to try to, at least I was off their budget. I could take care of myself. I could earn my own little money.
This was all in the east?
In the village, yes. I was still living in the village at that time. So this was after we came back from Kano because the Rehambonke riots in Kano sent everybody packing. In fact, I had gone on holiday to my parents in Kano when the riots broke out. We had to move. We were forced to move. That's how they returned to Umuahia. And things were so tough, very tough. So I had to start working. My salary was, I think it was about 100 naira or something. Yes, I was working in a business center where we made phone calls. So I was a.
What year was this? Your salary was what?
Yeah, 100 naira. My salary was like 180 naira. This was in 1990, 1991, 1992. Yeah, 1991, 92 was 180 naira. That was a lot of money at that time. And in the village, I was a big boy. I was celebrated for somebody who was working. I could come home with the official car of my company. I remember it was a Peugeot, this long Peugeot 504 with the name of my company written on it. It was Osili.
Oh,
yeah,
look at that, big boys.
Osili Communications. It was a business center. We made phone calls, we even made international calls that time. So I was a telephone operator there. So I was a big boy. If you wanted to make a call, there was no telephone. If you wanted to make a call, you come to my business center. Then those were the days when if you needed to call someone abroad, you have to go wait in a house where they had a telephone that could receive international calls.
You sound like 18 something, but it was 1990 something.
Yeah, it was 1990 something. Yeah. So we didn't have telephones, right? We didn't have telephones then.
So you, from there being the big boy flexing,
Yeah.
what happened next? So the next phase of
My life.
Port
Yeah. Okay. So from there, since everybody was in the village, I had finished school. I started doing this work. I wanted something more. I started to hear about university 1993 in the village, 1993. So I was wishing I could go to the university, but my parents couldn't send me to school. You couldn't even talk about it because they would say, you have 5 other siblings, they haven't even finished secondary school, you're talking about university. And then I said I wanted to join the army. Yeah, I had always wanted to join the army because I had a model there, David Mark.
In the army.
Yeah, in the army, David Mark. I think that time he was, Brigadier General at that time. I always saw him with his cap, his uniform. He had a plum in the cap. I loved, I told my parents, yeah, I wanted to join the army. And they said they will kill me. That I'm the first son. You can't go to join the army.
They stop you for one thing.
Yeah, so they don't kill you. I tried to convince them that not everybody who goes to the army goes to the war front. They refused. So I wanted something more. And I came to Lagos from the village in 1993. That was October 18, 1993, or September 18, 1993, I came to Lagos. There was somebody who was dealing in spare parts in the compound where they lived, in one flat. So we said, okay, my auntie said, you can learn a trade there, learn how to sell spare parts. When you become free, they can open a shop for you. You can start to sell your Igbo something. Yeah. So that was the plan. Anything to get me out of the village. I knew I was not a trader, a spare part dealer. I just wanted to leave the village. I mean, this is Lagos, right? If you're in the village at that time, going to Lagos from the village was like going to New York, right? So I said, let's go there. I'm leaving the village, right? So I came to Lagos, but thank God for that, my uncle. He's late now, may he so rest in peace. I got there. So the next morning, he brought me to the sitting room. He thanked me for how I had helped the family in the village and all of that. He said, but that's history now. So now you're here.
Okay.
What do you want to do? He asked me. So I repeated the agreement I had with the wife that I want to learn a trade so I can make money and help my family. But he was a very educated man, a first-class graduate from Ife. He studied economics. He was treasury manager at that time for Inlax PLC. So he said, why do you want to go into that kind of trading? Okay, you have already gone to school, you went to commercial school, you can type and all of that. Why don't you go and get a diploma in data processing? So after 1 year, you have a certificate, you can now start working and take your life up from there.
God bless.
I said, okay, thank you, sir. I wouldn't mind. So the next day, he gave them, I remember, 5,000 naira. They went and registered me in Computrite Professional Institute. It's along Anthony Bagada Expressway. It's a computer school. I did a diploma in data processing there for 1 year. So that's how my Lagos life started, 1993. Yeah.
Port Harcourt. How did you get there? Because Lagos, New York. Lagos was meant to be New York.
Yeah.
How did you get to Port Harcourt?
Okay, so I finished that, and somehow I left my uncle's house and back to the village. Came back on my own, So
Lagos village.
Yeah. Okay. But the village was just one day. Somehow I had to leave the house, right?
Okay, yes.
So they kind of like said, okay, we've helped you. It's time for you to go. It was premature, if you ask me, but I had to leave. But I had saved up some money, and I had made friends from my church in Foursquare. So when they asked me to leave, I went to one of the brothers in my church. I said, these people said I should leave the house back to the village, but I don't want to stay in the village. I want to stay in Lagos. So the brother in church, in Foursquare Gospel Church, he said I could come and stay with him. So I just went to the village. I told my parents that my journey with these people has ended, but I have to go back to Lagos. So I dropped some money with them, money I had saved, right? Because my uncle would give you money, I was not spending my money. Yeah, I was not spending my money, so I saved my money. I had some money when I was leaving the house. So I left some and came back on my own, gave some to my host. So that's how I started my Lagos life. From there, I got a job, another job. I started working with Ambody at that time, but he wasn't governor then.
Okay.
Ambody and the wife. He had a consulting firm at Ikeja. I was working there. I was the pioneer admin staff there. Yeah, if he's watching this, you should remember he called me Bobo Smart. He called me with Bola, his wife.
Bobo Smart.
Bobo Smart. They took care of me, Ambody and his wife, Bola. They took very good care of me. My first set of ties and shirts were given to me by Governor Ambody. Yeah, he would give me shirts. That time he was working as a treasurer for Etiosa local government area. So he took very good care of me. He was a fantastic guy. Even the wife, loved me so much like their own son at the time. Smart at that time, So from there, I left that job, got another one, CSS bookshop. From there, and I moved to IMB. I started working in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's in Port Harcourt.
In Lagos, yeah.
Right.
IMB, Akande Shola Street. That was in 1998 now. So I was working there. So when I got that job, after 2 years, the bank sent me to Port Harcourt. That's how I went to Port Harcourt, yeah.
Okay, so you didn't just get like, I'm going to Port
It was IMB that transferred me to Port Harcourt in year 2000 as systems administrator. So that's how I went to Port Harcourt and spent 20 years of my life there from 2000 to 2020, and I decided to come back to Lagos.
So that journey now, how did that influence you be who you are today?
Wow, that's all of my life actually, right? So a lot had happened in between. It was not as straightforward, because while I was here in Lagos, I had the burden of my siblings. So what I was doing, any of my siblings that finished secondary school, I brought them to Lagos. Yeah, I brought them to Lagos. I had a job at the bank.
So wait, hold on. So you had like a whole apartment?
Apartment? It depends on what you call an apartment.
I don't know. You bring your siblings one after the other. No apartment? How did you accommodate?
Okay, so I had very good people in my life when I was growing up. People just see me and like me. They want to help me. They want to help me. So while I was living with that brother, another brother in church saw me and said he wanted me to come and live with him. In fact, they decided to drag who I was going to live with.
Imagine.
Yeah. So I moved to this other guy because they were becoming jealous of themselves. So, okay, since you want to go and stay with Bro P, go and stay with him. So I went there. So it was while I was in that house, I brought my first brother, and then you know how things will be. Every day they say, this is your brother, did this, he did that, he did this.
Yeah.
Until we got our own apartment, what you call an apartment. Yeah. We were just a boys' quarter apartment. So we just started from there, started from nothing, just from nothing. At least I had my own house. And I had somebody, Auntie Sheon, at that time, she was working with the NDIC. She said to me, why don't you get your own apartment? I said, I don't have money to do that. He said, find the house, I'll pay for it.
Wow.
Yeah. No. So I found a boys' quarters apartment. Yeah. And she paid for it. I just moved into the house. When I was moving into the house, I had nothing. It was one old grandma in the previous compound. I remember she gave me a mat. She said, okay, can take this. And then she would give me food, every day she would give food to me. So we started from that small house, my brother and I, then we found a job. So we're just managing.
Favor.
Until I left them here and went to Port Harcourt. So the second one came, the third one came. So that's how today everybody on Lagos boy.
That's quite a emotional story.
So it taught me how to be prudent. It taught me how to be a father from very young.
And responsible.
Yeah, responsible too. So I didn't have all of those boisterous upbringing or growing up of boys. Go to parties, drink with women, because I had responsibilities. I had kid brothers and sisters to look after. I had my parents as well. So I was not given to all of those things. I was not extravagant because if I collected my salary, I had things I could do with it and things I could. And today when I look back, I don't regret it because even while I was in the bank, I remember while I was in the bank, I couldn't buy any jacket. I would just wear my shirt and tie because I had things to do with my money. My brothers were in school at that time, university of everyone say university, most say university. I'll pay the fees, I'll pay the accommodation. So I was a father from very young, and today when I look back, they're all graduates. That's my brother's death will be very painful to me because after seeing him through school, he got a good job. He was working at Fidelity Bank, but he died. So very painful. But apart from that, I could see now that because of the sacrifices I made, my younger ones are who they are today. And that's because people also sacrificed for me. Because those people that brought me to Lagos, they didn't really know me. Just that we're from the same village, right? So they took a chance on me. And I know that for the 3 or 4 years I spent in their house, they could say that, okay, this guy too was a blessing. But they brought me here. And bringing me to Lagos was like, the door opener to everything else that happened in my life. Yeah. But it wasn't an easy 4 years, because even though they didn't tell me that I was a houseboy, I knew by my routine that was what I was doing. So they didn't call me a houseboy because we're from the same village. And I don't see people do that now. Nobody wants to live with anybody. Live with them, wash their clothes, wash their cars,
to pay your dues,
run errands, take the kids to school, bring them back from school. I did all of that. I'm grateful to them, because if I had remained in the village, maybe you wouldn't have me on your podcast today. I'm sure you wouldn't bring a village boy to your podcast.
Hey, you know what I'm capable of doing.
You wouldn't come to Umuahia to bring me. You wouldn't have met me.
But you know what I'm capable of doing.
You wouldn't have met me.
I wouldn't have met you.
You wouldn't have met me. So I thank them, I loved it there, because, today it was part of my training as a human being, right? So I did all of that. So that when I see people these days, they don't want to do anything. They don't want to sacrifice. They hate hard work. I just smile, because we did all of that. And today, I'm sure if I don't tell you, you wouldn't know I did all of that.
Right.
So I know now how to take children to school. That's why I love to take my daughter to school. I would drive my children to school, bring them from there, help them to do their homework, just be invested in the home. And it was all of these trainings I got in the past.
OAP. How did you get there?
Okay. I thought that I always wanted to be somebody who would do what I'm doing now as a broadcaster, because even while I was in the village, I was so much in love with radio. So then we had the old school radio. So I know that I listened to the radio till I slept off every night. My dad, of blessed memory, he'll come to knock on the window and say, turn off the radio, turn off the radio. What? Why can't you just turn off this radio? So I loved listening to radio. I was listening to the FM in Calabar, because from Umuahia I could receive the FM in Calabar.
The signal.
Yeah, the signal in Calabar. So I was listening to that radio station. I even knew some of the people there, by name, and I loved the way they talk. So I said, I would like to do this job one day. So that was where I fell in love with radio. So from my business center works to the bank, in 2007, I lost my job in the bank, 3 months after my wedding. Yeah, so I left mainstream banking. I went to microfinance banking. It wasn't the same, right? So I tried my hands on my private business in the media. And then I said, why can't I just do this radio thing? Because I was an avid listener to radio. I would call. That's why
you used to be a caller.
Yeah, when I do my radio shows, I appreciate those who call.
You used to be a caller.
I used to be a caller. I got through the first time, they knew me, on radio, right? So one of those days I was listening to a radio station. I won't call the name of the radio station because I'm on the radio now. Because if you want to listen to radio, you should listen to Inspiration FM. So I was listening to this radio station in Port Harcourt. It was a sports program. After my contribution, they asked me to hold on. Yeah.
Okay.
So they came to talk to me off the radio. And they said, we would like to invite you to this sports program. You want to be our guest in-house. Will you come? I said, yes, I'll come. So I went there. I went to the station. So they put me on air. As I was talking, the host of the program, he said, you sound so smooth. I wish you could.
You sound so smooth on this podcast. I'm thinking,
I wish you could switch roles with me. I like the way you talk. I said, okay. I said, thank you. I hadn't gotten any training. So I continued to call. They continued to invite me until I decided to approach somebody. His name is Sammy Uzoechi, and that's his name. He's still on the radio in Port Harcourt there. So I told him, I want to join your radio show. He said, wow, I've been listening to you on the radio and you sound good. Please come. So he called me over to the office and said, I'm leaving this radio station. Do you want to come with me to my new station or you want to stay here? I said, I prefer this radio because it was on my way to work. I was still working at the microfinance bank at the time. So When I finished the sports program, it was at 6:45 to 7. I could drive to work. So he called me, he said I should go meet the person there. I met the guy. So the guy said, okay, you can come tomorrow and let's see what you can do. So I went there in my bank work clothes. So they put me on air. The guy was looking at me like, this guy, are you sure he can? So it was sports. So by the time we finished, the guy said, can you come tomorrow? I said, I can come tomorrow. I came the next day, said, can you come the next day? So that's how I became, regular on the program.
Yeah.
So from there, the station approached me. I should do 1 or 2 programs for them. So that's how the real thing started. And from there, they asked me to read the news. I started to read the news. They gave me other programs to do.
Right.
And I grew through the ranks till I became the head of that station. So I left that radio station, that's Family Love FM in Port Harcourt, as the general manager of the station.
Lovely.
And that's how I came to Inspiration FM in Lagos. Yeah.
And you are the head of regional?
I'm the divisional head, broadcast services
Definitely.
at Inspiration FM.
You've paid your dues, Captain.
Yes, I have.
Now you head, or you are the host of the Alpha Club program at IFM.
Yeah, I host that program in collaboration with my colleagues, fantastic guys, Kolade Dominate, Stanley Uche, and there's also Damia Kinshiko. So we're 4 of us in that club. That program...
Before I get into that program, I know you do counseling. You counsel men.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about women if you do, but I know you counsel successful men and other people. You've been doing that for a bit. How did you get into counseling?
Okay, I counsel everybody that needs counseling. So I told you I had always been a good boy, right? Even before I met Christ. There are 2 different things. You can be a good boy and not know the Lord. So I rather that you are a good boy and know the Lord. I'm a pastor, right? So counseling is the thing for us, right? So the counseling part of me came from there because I've also had some trainings about that, from the Church Institute and things like that too. And in my walk and work, I come across a lot of people who need counseling, who need to be spoken to. The world is a very tough place. From where I sit on my job, I see and hear a lot of things that when you hear them, you just be left heartbroken. People are going through a lot. And sometimes people just want you to talk to them. Yep. Everything is not about naira and kobo, pounds and dollars. Sometimes some people just want you to hold them and say, you can do this. Or just say to them that you're not a failure. You can pull through it. Some people are going through pains from losing something. People have lost loved ones, have lost their jobs, things are difficult, they can't feed. They're just looking for some kind of a relationship that will reassure them that the world is not crumbling down on them. So I sit there, people call me, and I appreciate the fact that they're able to open up to me. I tell them on my shows that if you come to me for remedy, I'm not going to make a comedy of you, even as a pastor. Right. Because sometimes you see some people, you tell them your problem, you go to a pastor, tell them your problem, and the next thing, they use it to preach a sermon. So we don't do that. So I counsel people who are going through difficult times. And where I can help, even financially, I do that. And I want to say that I've been connected to some very wonderful people who, even when I'm doing that program, they say to me that, Smart, let's do something for these people. Yeah. So somehow God has used me, to be a blessing to people, not just in counseling, but also try to set them up or trying to help them to solve problems in their lives.
The Alpha Club is for men.
Yeah.
I've listened to you a number of times, and sometimes I hold myself like, my goodness.
We're annoying.
Oh my goodness. Like, where do you get the information from? You guys feel you know it all, but I want to hear the things you talk about.
Yeah.
And then ask you some questions.
Yeah.
That sometimes I listen, I'm like, nah, I need to get Captain to answer. To answer these questions, what is the Alpha Club all about?
Okay, the Alpha Club was born out of the fact that if men are just on their own, the world is more interested in the woman.
That's what you think.
Yeah. Even the men themselves don't make it any easier for them. Like today is like when they celebrate Mother's Day, the men are invested in Mother's Day even much more than the women are. But on the day you're celebrating men, like maybe International Men's Day, I think we'll have only one day in the year.
It's Women's Mother's Day 2 days.
So you have Mother's Day, you have International Women's Day, you have Day of the Girl Child, Day of the Woman Child, Day of the Women Mothers. You know, plenty, we're always talking about these things. You see men are the ones who be falling over themselves to put it out there. There'll be billboards, there'll be adverts on radio, brands will, just do something to commemorate the day. But Men's Day, even the men themselves don't remember, not to talk of the women. So sometimes you see your wife says, oh, today is even Men's Day. Oh, happy National Men's Day. Nobody buys you a gift. If you're ever going to get a gift, maybe boxers and singlets, or they send you a postcard with...
It's not that bad.
So men, nobody looks out for them. Okay. So we decided...
That's how you feel.
Well, not so many people look out for them. So we decided that we want to bridge this gap. We want to look out for men. We want to give men an avenue to vent. We want to encourage men not to die with their problems.
Okay.
Speak up, men. Because a man, he receives a salary, he draws up a budget, he doesn't even make the list, right? He takes care of everybody else but him. So if it's Christmas or it's any celebration, they're buying things, he's buying for everybody, he doesn't buy for himself. Let me tell you, like you have a family, just look at family portraits, right? Pictures of people taking Christmas and all of that occasion. You see there's a uniform, right? So everybody is getting 6 yards. You make your top and, So you see the man, sometimes the man just gets something for the pocket square. That's how you know that he's part of the family.
No, Captain.
Or if they're magnanimous enough, he gets 1 yard. He will combine black hair and just make
Captain,
it top.
Wait, which portraits have you watched? No, which portraits have you
just watch.
seen?
There's always a black pants for the man.
No.
So he just gets the top.
Captain.
Or sometimes the uniform for him will be the cap.
Wait.
Or some scarf in the pocket.
No. Where have you been?
No, I'm not blaming anybody for that. No. We put ourselves there.
No way. The portraits I've been seeing, they do matching up and downs and they do the jeans white.
You haven't seen many portraits. Look more, you see these things.
Where are they? Where are the ones you're seeing?
These things, they're everywhere. The man buys the cars, he buys the best one for the wife. He goes out. If it's not enough, he sacrifices his portion so the family can, have a good life. So that's men.
So that's the Alpha Club.
So we brought out this so that men can also be celebrated. We'll discuss men issues there, issues that affect men, and then we encourage the men to also live their lives, to say that the world should allow the men to breathe. Don't suffocate them. Let the men breathe. So that's what we do. So just to let men talk, because the men don't talk. Men are always bottling things in their minds, and that's why they die quickly. They die quicker than the women. If you see the obituary announcement, you see the women, you see this is a glorious exit, for a life well lived. She's 80 years old. But if you see the obituary announcement for the men, you see gone too soon, sunset at dawn, painful exit. He's just 56. And that's why you have more widows than widowers. Have you noticed that?
No, I haven't.
And even now, you have programs for widows. So there's empowerment for widows. There are even men who come to help widows. Nobody has done any program for widowers as if they don't exist, but they do.
I think because they remarry so quickly, there is no need.
Oh, really? That's part of the problem.
The widowers.
That's part of why we have the problem.
They don't mourn long enough.
No, because
so there is no need.
The men are always, They are the dark
How many
horses.
widowers have you
They are
seen?
the dark.
Widowers.
They are the dark. We have many of them. They're the dark.
Single,
They're the dark
so-
horses. When you talk about evil, is the man you put there. If they want to
But
depict,
hold up. Do you agree though that there are not many widowers because they unwidow themselves very quickly?
no, that's not true. You don't think there are many widowers because nobody talks about them. Because the man will not even come out to say I'm a widower. He just bottles up that to himself. Because if you want to talk about evil, they use men to represent that. If they want to say somebody raped somebody, it's a man's picture you see there. If they want to say armed robbers, it's a man's picture you see there. When they talk about domestic violence, it's the man's picture you see as the one who is the aggressor. But there are men who have told me on my program that their wives beat them. Not one, not two.
Okay.
They run away from the house. They can't go home after work because the woman has said to them, don't come back. But nobody talks about that. So we set up that program to say that we want to give men a voice and so that we understand that you have problems, you have issues, you can talk to us. And the revelation has been amazing on the program.
Let me give you the platform, please.
Yeah.
What is one biggest challenge you have faced and how did you overcome it? Let me allow you to talk, Captain.
Okay. So this was not too long ago like that. So this would be 2009. Yeah. Before 2009, I can't think of any problem I would say I've had. Not that I was rich like that, big, but I was just happy. I can't really think about anything I would say was my big problem. I was in Port Harcourt until January 16, 2009. That was the day my father died. Yeah, so I think from that day, my life took a turn that I would say I've never been able to recover from, because I think something left me that day. Maybe because of the way I was told. I was just sitting back in the office that day and my phone rang at about 4 p.m. and that was to tell me that my father had died. I remember that was a Friday. The next day was supposed to be the introduction for my younger sister's marriage. The in-laws were coming to tell us that they want to have a hand in marriage. So my daddy had called me on the Wednesday of that week to say that, okay, this is the occasion coming, that the in-laws are coming, to ask for my sister's hand in marriage. We spoke for a very short while.
Let me say, wasn't sick.
Yeah, and I congratulated him. He wasn't sick. He didn't even have a headache. We were very happy. If I had known that was the last time I was going to speak to him, perhaps I would have made a call longer, but I didn't know because he wasn't sick. I had left the village on 31st of December, 2008. So he was healthy, he was very strong. I was not thinking I was going to organize a funeral, the next month. So he called me and said, okay, congratulations, Daddy. Now you can get your walking stick. He said, yeah, and his cap. So we just joked about it. Then he called a meeting. That was a Wednesday evening. I don't know what happened there. The next day, say it was purging. It was Thursday. Friday afternoon, my younger sister called me and said she was coming from the village. Daddy's not feeling well. I said, get him to the hospital. If he's not feeling well, he said, no, it's not that kind of sickness, that he's taking treatment at home. He'll be fine. I called my mom. I said, go to the hospital. She said, oh, it's just purging, And that's not the first time he's going to purge in the village, This was around 12. By 4 p.m., I got another call, and the person was so inhumane. I think he didn't have credit on his phone, or he was just trying to be the one to break the news. He just told me, as I took the call, he called my native name. He said, Edu, your father is dead. That's how he broke the news. So I thought I was dreaming. If I had to call him back to say, what did you say? He said, your father is dead. Everybody's just crying here. So I walked across to my boss. I said, somebody just called me now to say my father had died.
You didn't even know the person?
I know the person is one of my cousins in the village, So my boss sat me down and said, just calm down. He was trying to talk to me. I was devastated. I started calling my siblings. I called my wife. I called everybody. So I went home that night, that Friday evening. I was crying. I was inconsolable because I didn't think my father was going to die. I never thought about it. So the next morning I drove to the village and my mom, so sad. So that was one big event in my life that I could say changed the trajectory of my life. I was so sad, nothing mattered to me. My daughter at that time was just 8 months old, so I lost interest in everything until my father in the Lord, Reverend Dr. Uzoechi, God bless him, I told him how I was feeling. I told him I feel so bad that I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't do anything. I mean, how can my father die like this? My father was 73 when he died, but I didn't see it coming. So I was so sad, so very sad. Then he told me one thing that is the only thing I tell people now who are in the same situation as I was at that time. He said, we call it wisdom words. He gave me a wisdom word. He said, father lost is not feather lost. You can still fly. The moment he said that to me on the phone, I felt a lift in my spirit. The sadness lifted. Because I was just saying, what am I going to do? How can my father die now? We had a lot of plans. When we were praying together, that 31st of December, he said so many things in his prayer that I heard because he was standing close to me, he was standing next to me. So I heard some of his prayer points and I wanted to do those things for him. So I was remembering all of those things. I was too sad. But I thank God for my father in the Lord. That's kind of like settled the sorrow I feel deep within me at that time. And I started to get better and better. I still remember my father. I still feel bad, but not as bad as I felt at that time. And that's why, before that time, as a pastor, a Christian brother, when people lose loved ones, I'll go there, read the Bible, tell them how their loved one had gone to be with the Lord. They're in a better place. Don't cry like those who don't have hope. If God could open your eyes to see where they are, you will even be happy. I said all of those things before my father died. But when my father died, I felt the pain. So now, if I go to a place, a mourning house, if I go to a place where somebody has lost a loved one, sometimes I don't even say anything because you never can tell the pain until you feel it. So I don't go telling them, why are you crying? Some people will audaciously come to where people have lost people. They'll say, come on, go on. Oh yeah, bring food, give him food. Go on. Yeah, come. Let's go and see a movie. That's hypocritical. You don't know how they feel. Because each time I'm left alone, even if I was driving, I would be crying. So nobody has a right to tell you how to mourn. But the only advice is that if you don't make your grief to be brief, it can cripple your enterprise. Because I've seen people who died shortly after they lost loved one, they couldn't manage it. So we should go closer to them, let them cry if they want to cry. Don't try to bottle them up. So I feel for people who are mourning right now, it's not an easy place to be in. And then after that, 2016, my younger brother died. So if I go to my family house, I like to go to the village. But if I go there, I see those two graves. So they shaped my life. You can never recover from that. You can't forget your loved one. You can never forget them. It can be a picture you see, you remember. It can be something said. It can be a song, like when the radio station now, there's some songs I play, And I remember my father used to play this song. It brings back those memories, right? And then there will always be regrets. You feel as though maybe you could have done something that could have saved their lives, or you could have given them a type of life you were not able to give them. So while you have them, just do the best you can and the most you can for them, because they're never going to be here forever. We just pray that they don't die suddenly. Like my father died suddenly, really suddenly. You know, some people say, oh, when my loved one will die, let him not give us problems. Because I started to say that. I wish my father was sick in the hospital, and I'll go there and the doctor will call me aside and say, I think this is 50-50. Your dad may not make it. So just prepare. You know, I wished for that kind of experience, but I didn't have it. Then some other people who have had loved ones who
went through
sick,
that,
they say, don't pray that your loved one experiences long-term sickness. The way your father died, I wish my mother had died like that. So that's why they said, hey, while I be like bicycle. You know, they finish. And this world, so that redefined my world. You know, I'm getting better, but I wish my father was here.
Yeah. So you're still working through the pain.
Yeah, still working. It's a pain that will never leave you. But the magnitude is not always going to be the same. I don't feel the way I felt in 2009 or the few years after that. But the pain is there. It's always there. Sometimes I look at my mom, I imagine how she's feeling, right? My younger ones, like my younger brother was supposed to come from Europe. He was been there for like 10 years before that time. He was supposed to have come in December. So he pushed the trip to April of 2009. And my father died in January. So he only came for the funeral.
Oh, wow. Did you learn any relationship wisdom, anything, relationship, marriage lessons from him?
Yeah. My parents had a very good marriage. We didn't see them fight, apart from a few disagreements here and there. So I never saw my dad beat my mom. You know, they were both very hardworking. I saw my dad, you know, he did his best. You know, he did his best to provide for us. And I saw my mom helping my dad a lot. You know, she was doing business. Even when we had returned to Umuahia, because of the situation in the family at the time, my mom had to return to Kano to continue to do her business, and then she would send stuff back home, you know, just to support the family. So that's what I learned, you know. So today, I help my wife as much as possible. You know, I take care of my family the way I saw my dad do that. He sacrificed a lot, you know, for the family. So I learned that one from them. And of course, to keep the peace in the home. As a man, you have to, like my pastor would say, overlook the overlookables.
No, but that's you not in at this age, you're matured, you understand.
Yeah.
Before marriage, before you went into your marriage, did you have the wisdom of what it meant or it took to be a husband?
Yeah, I did, because my dad would teach you. He would,
sat you down.
He didn't sit me down like, okay, today we're going to have marriage 101. No, but in my dealings with him, in my walk with him, you know, maybe he took me to his site. My father was a carpenter. You know, he worked on houses. Maybe when I went to help him when I was out of school, he'll be talking to you. And I learned that. I talk to my children like that now, so I don't wait till want to sit down, lecture. You know,
so he was an expressive person.
Every opportunity he had, he would say, "This is how to do this." He was always telling me, you know, he felt like I was too soft as a man, right? He would say, "Be like a man. You know, if they look for me," I remember those days, "if they look for me tomorrow and they don't find me, is this what you be doing?" You know,
That's too soft.
Yeah, he was
Grandma.
So he always thought that I was,
Grandma's
I was being like I don't want to demean your gender.
Yeah.
You're a man. You're not a woman. Be strong. You know. At that time, I was always crying. They said I would cry. A little thing I would cry. So you don't. You're a man. You know. So he was
soft.
Yeah, I was soft.
Okay.
I'm still soft. The people that work with me, they think I'm hard, but I'm not. So I'm still soft. I have a human heart. So he always, he taught me well. So I picked a lot of things from there: how to be a good man, how to be a good husband, how to care for the family. Not in a normal lecture, but you learn by observation. That's how children learn, right? So I could observe my dad, the way he did that. He loved my mother. He provided the best he could. And I think, many of my marriage lessons I picked from him. Yeah.
Wonderful. So I'm going to do what I love to do with you.
Yeah.
Speed questioning.
Yes.
And see your thoughts. Since Alpha Club, you guys have very strong opinions about things. So this is going to be a space where you can actually respond. Alpha Club, you just throw out questions and people call.
Yeah.
This is going to be me questioning and hearing your thoughts on these things. Let's all hear your answers. So we're going to flip the Alpha Club a bit.
Okay.
I want to see what you got to say. Do you think emotional intelligence in men is as a result of nurturing or just genetics?
Nurturing. Wow. Yeah. Nurturing.
Well, I do.
I don't think people are really born with all of those kind of things. You can't say you were born to be emotionally intelligent. You can learn it. They can nurture you. Your environment has a lot to do with who you turn out to be in the end. You can take a bad boy from the village, you bring him to a good environment, to a good home, where they teach him well. Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go, so when he is old, he will not depart from it. So it's training, it's nurturing. You teach people to become. If you stop learning, you start to die. And learning is a lifelong process. As long as you live, you continue to learn. Learning never stops.
The reason why I said wahala day, you already know why I said that. So if you feel it's nurturing, and looking at our culture where you're told, be a man, be strong, don't be like a woman, you're literally stripped of being, being sensitive. And looking at our culture where most men are raised to be a man, don't stop being soft.
Yeah.
What are they for the women?
Yeah. We're trying to change the trajectory now. So
we are now
that we're parents, we should be telling our children, be a man. It's not to say don't cry as a man when you're supposed to cry. Or don't express weakness when you're weak. Or don't seek for help when you need one. Because that's what they have taught men. As a man, you're not supposed to cry. As a man, you're supposed to be successful all the time.
So the women now that are dealing with men that were trained like this, culturally now, and we have a host of them this generation, they're going through pain issues of not knowing how to get through to their men because they were raised not to be sensitive. What is your advice to them?
Yeah, it's your cross. It's your cross. you carry that cross. And try to help.
Sorry,
that
did you
man.
say it's a cross?
It's a cross. Try to help that man. Marriage is for better, for worse, right?
But that part didn't come with a cross.
Huh?
That part of the worst. It says in goodness. Is it in good health and what is it? Money and what again?
For richer, for poorer.
Yeah.
In good health and in sickness.
It didn't come with not being sensitive.
No. So that's what I'm saying.
Because that's literally me being blindsided.
People have different, opinions about marriage these days, and most of those opinions.
That man now wants a cultural marriage, but then we live in a generation that is not really culturally sensitive.
Yeah.
So you want me to be culturally sensitive, but the society, the times we live in, doesn't really support that. People
don't really know too much about marriage. Many people who get married these days, some of them marry for the wrong reasons. Yeah. That's why they say that marriage is a serious business. It's not for boys, it's not for girls, it's for the mature. And you don't enter that institution without advice. So they will tell you it's not to be entered into unadvisedly or irreverently. You need lots of counseling. Marriage is not a bed of roses. You know, social media has made this thing even worse. Nobody puts out a bad picture of them on social media. You take a picture, you have to put the filters there, you have to make it look nice. You will see people, they take a group photo and then they want to post it, and somebody says, don't post this picture, I don't like the way I'm looking there. Yeah, because they want to put out the best. So marriage is not all good. It's not all goodness you see inside. Sometimes there are problems there. So when problems arise, what do? Jump ship? No, you stay there and sort out the problem. As long as it's not life-threatening, right? So, but the social media or the marriage, it tells you that, oh, they lived happily ever thereafter.
Yeah.
There will be sometimes there are no happy days in a marriage. You have disagreements because, remember, you met this person after they have been formed. Yeah. You met them after they became a man or became a woman of their own. So who says you're not going to have problems? You have problems. There's no marriage without a problem.
But what about they came into the marriage with that cultural, traditional mindset? I have money now.
Yeah.
Society says, okay, I'm of age. I have money. I have what it takes to take care of a woman. And they get married. And then 15 years later, it's just a transactional. Yes, I had money. I was expected to get married. But now the woman can't really connect. He had what it took to take care of a family. Yeah. Financially, to provide. But now
he doesn't have any more.
That emotional part that is part of, for better, for worse, to make sure you're able to overcome situations, they're not connecting enough to communicate and overcome these situations. What's your advice to the women to connect to these men?
You don't just marry anybody you see on the street.
Well, it has happened.
Yeah, so
they're in it.
So you work it out, right?
How?
Now see, so is this a transaction, or because he had things in the past, he could pay the bills?
Yes, he had money, he was of age.
Yeah.
And now they're in 15 years in it. And
he doesn't have that anymore. So is it that you married him because it was going to be somebody who meets your needs? You don't just marry anybody you see. So before you marry somebody, you don't know everything about them, right? No matter how many years you're going to court the person you want to marry, you can never find out. There will be still things you'll be finding out in the marriage, right? But just try and know as much as to make yourself comfortable to say, look, this is the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. And that's why I also encourage women, if you're going into a marriage, have a life of your own.
Fine.
Including your own economy. Because if you're able to do that, the Bible says two are better than one because they have a better reward for their labor. If two people lie down, they be able to keep themselves warm. So you're in a marriage to help each other. I have my part or my role in the marriage. My spouse has her own part as well. So we're there to complement each other. You don't put all the burden on me because I'm the man. No, after all, we all went to school, right?
Or not.
We went to school. We all went to school.
Or not.
So where's your own money? Yes. Where's your own money? What contribution are you making?
Hold on. We'll get there. We'll get there. So that's easy. Hold on. Okay. Who do you think is responsible for teaching our men relationship and communication skills during the course of their lives before marriage? Okay. The man is, first of all, a boy, right? So in that, his boyhood, he has parents. Or not. Not everybody has.
Not everybody has. So if you don't have parents, you have a family. And that's why I like the village setting, right? You don't have that in these highbrow areas you people live in right now. In the village, you have the community is responsible for you. Yeah, the community is responsible for you. So that communal relationship is there. It may not be your mother or your aunt. There's a neighbor who said, you can't do that. So you mean you're not in school? What are you doing at home by this time? They can beat you from there. So there are some people that are disciplinarians in the community that they will tell you, don't let him hear that you're still here by this time. So there are many people you are afraid of. So everybody, is like a joint task force that shapes the boy or shapes the girl. Before you do wrong, you think twice about it because you have many people who are looking out for you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's it. Everybody is responsible. But sadly, in the cities, children are locked up in flats and duplexes. They don't, even when they come outside, they are feeling uncomfortable. So that's part of the problem. So can you open up your family? Allow people to participate. Now when you correct some children, their parents can come after you. They say, how dare you talk to my child? So it's because I've left your children to you. That's why sometimes when they're now 16, 17, you're now telling Captain Smart, please help me. My child, I don't understand this, my child. Cannot listen to me. It's because we left the child for you. We left the child for you. I can still remember some of my uncles, some people who will say, you don't do that. You're afraid of them. They will say, if we report you to so person, like when I was with my grandmother, who had, his name is Emmanuel, we call him Day Man. You don't want them to report you to Day Man.
And it's not a parent.
He's not my parent. He's just my maternal uncle. You don't want them to report you to him. He was the disciplinarian. If they report you to him, you're in trouble. So the fear of Day Man was the beginning of good behavior. But now we don't have those people again. Everybody says, leave my child for me.
If not for Christianity that distorted our African traditional system, a man is entitled to as many wives as he can care for. What's your take on that?
Well, I'm a Christian, so I believe in one man, one wife. I believe in monogamy, right? But the African men, they say that, we're polygamous in nature. You can marry as many wives as you want.
You can care for.
You can care for, and all of that. I don't believe in that. I believe in one man, one wife, right? So that's my belief. I'm not going to change it. So those who believe in polygamy, I wish them all the best, right? But I don't think that your life is better because you have multiple women in your life or you have multiple wives. I'm not also saying that because you have multiple wives, you have multiple problems. Because some people have said to me that, okay, Captain Smart, we like this your one wife, one man, one wife, thing you're preaching. And somebody said to me, this is very hilarious. He said, can you imagine this your one wife that gives you so much peace, she loves you so much, she takes very good care of you, you're happy, the home. Can you imagine what will happen if you have 2 or 3 of so your peace will be times 3.
Wow.
The joy, the love will be times 3. So people have different reasons for what they do.
Right.
When somebody wants to do something, they find a reason for that. They can even find a scripture for that. They will say David had more than one wife, Abraham. They will tell you Solomon, in all his wisdom, look at all the many wives he has. I am a Christian, I'm a pastor. I have one wife. I'm happy with my wife. And I don't intend to marry a second wife, no matter how much money I have.
Do you feel boys should be taught how to be husbands and fathers first before they enter marriage?
Yes. The training starts when they're with you, right?
With who?
With you, the parents.
No, do you feel they need to be checked, taught, make sure that they are ready for it? Because people have money, they're ready. Yes, I want to get married. Do you feel like there should be a, not exam, but there should be someone within the family to make sure that yes, you are ready because we've taught you.
Yeah,
Aside from just, I have money, I'm ready to get married.
You should teach them, but it's that part where you say they are ready.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there will ever come a time when you say, okay, this one is now, as in ready.
We're never ready.
Marriage is like a present, right? It's a gift pack. It's wrapped up. You never know what is there until you open it up. But that preparation you have by going to counseling, observing, that's why I plead with parents now. Please teach your boys and your girls how to be good wives and husbands from the home by what you do. If you're in the house now, your husband or wife, you're fighting every day before the kids, they will think that that's how marriage is. And some of them come out and tell you, I don't want to get married because I think marriage is violent, there's no love inside, because that's what they have seen. But if you show them that marriage is love, try to keep your problems away from them until they're of age, you can now, when they begin to observe, so you teach them from the home. You're first a good man, right? You're a good boy at home first before you're a good man outside. So it's the training. It starts from the home. What you teach them, what you show them. Teach your boys to cook. Don't teach them that as a boy, you stay in the sitting room, then the mother cooks. No, that's what today many men are having problems. I have people who have told me they're looking for men who can cook as husbands. You know, I've seen ladies like that. They say my husband must cook. He has to know how to cook. You know, and they wouldn't get married until they see a man who can cook.
Throwing shade.
So,
just throwing shade.
So teach your boys how to cook. You know, it's something I wish I could cook better than I'm cooking now.
Okay, you know how to cook?
I know how to cook, but not my wife wouldn't let me cook.
Okay, so you don't know how to cook.
I can cook what I can eat.
No. If she does not want you to cook, take it from me, you don't know how to cook.
Well, cooking is not my thing. It has never come up as something I have to do, but I know how to make some things I'll eat.
You know how to fry egg.
I don't do eggs. I know how to plantain. I can cook beans.
Fry plantain. You know how to fry plantain.
I know how to fry plantain. Cook yam. I can make cereal.
So you know how to make cereal?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Not many men can boil water.
True.
Some men can't even turn on the gas cooker.
True, but you know how to make cereal. You actually get a bowl. You know what? Well
get
done.
a bowl. So you make it turn out nice, right? You don't put too much water in it.
You didn't even say you know how to do Indomie. It's cereal.
I don't eat those things. I can make pap.
Why?
To make pap is a lot of skill. Some people make pap and it turns out to be watery. So you need a lot of skill to do that.
Okay. What's up with our nighttime men not believing in therapy? You've mentioned that a few times now that they need to get help and everything. But you know, most of our men don't think therapy is for them. They don't believe in therapy.
Yeah, it's the African men thing. You know, men don't really think they are the problem. So they're always externalizing the problem. It's everything else but them. So it's not just about therapy. Even when there's a problem, maybe you need to see a doctor, the man will not want to go there. The man will say, you go. You know, he doesn't want to go to the clinic for checkup because he believes that he's not the problem, right? So he's to go, and then he thinks, why do I have to go and give money to a therapist? For what? You know, there's nothing wrong with me. I mean, you got the problem, change. If you change, things are going to get better. So we should learn to submit ourselves to authority, right? That's why before you marry somebody, there must be somebody that person is responsible to. There must be somebody that the person is afraid of, like somebody who can call him to order. You have a problem if that's your husband. There's nobody that can tell him stop and he stops, or that can make him to change his mind. There must be at least one person in his life that could make him to change the decision he has taken. Yeah, that he respects. Beyond respecting, that he fears. Somebody he reveres, who can tell him, you can't do this. No matter what he wants to do. And he will say, I'm not going to do it because of you. If he doesn't have that kind of person, it's a huge red flag. So which means one day, he can wake up in the morning and tell you to get out of the house.
There's nothing you can do.
There's nothing you can do about it because you can't report him to anybody. Some women come to me and I say, I'm going to call your husband. They say, no. If you call him, this marriage is over. The man is not responsible to anybody.
You're not. Sex 21 times a month should be the norm. What's your take on this? Is it joblessness, wanting to achieve that every month?
Well, I don't think we should have a timetable for sex in a marriage. I don't think so. I've heard that thing, or if you don't do 21 times in a month, the man is going to come down with prostate issues. Some medical doctor said that. So I don't know if that's a general scientific proof. You know, if that's the case, it means that many of us are going to have a problem. If you have the time and the cooperation of your spouse to do that, all well and good, but you shouldn't force it. Don't force it. You don't force that.
Okay, so what about the situation where by these men are demanding, I need to have my 21 times a month. If not, I'll get it elsewhere. What about the case where he can't meet up or isn't available? Do you think the woman can outsource her desires too?
That's a taboo.
Sorry, what?
It's a taboo.
What's the taboo?
It's an abomination.
Which one is that?
You want to have two husbands or multiple husbands.
Now, we just established men outsource their desires if the woman is not available, she is not physically attractive, but he has to meet up. That's his desires.
Yeah.
My question now is, and a lot of us want to know, Oga Alpha Club, if he can't meet up, he's traveling or he has a pot belly now and he's not very attractive, isn't he? Can I outsource my desires
You can't.
too?
You can't.
Why not?
You can't.
Why?
Yeah, I mean, you're married to me.
Are you not married to me too?
So I wouldn't do that. That's what I'm saying.
No, I'm with
That's what I'm saying.
This Alpha Club.
Yeah,
is-
you can't. I can't. You can't be my wife, and you're going to sleep with other men because you say that I cannot give you 21 times.
Yeah, now you're too busy.
No. I'm not going to. That marriage is not going to work. In fact, it fulfills the requirement for us to go our separate ways. Yeah.
So you feel if the rules are reversed, it should be the same thing, yeah?
Yeah. No man should do that. That's why I said I believe in monogamy. I believe in one man, one wife.
Okay.
So it takes a lot of discipline. Not that you're not going to be tempted to have other women, but it's discipline. You have to discipline yourself, to stay within the confines of the vows that you took. You cannot possibly sleep with every woman that you're attracted to. Attraction to a woman is not a sin, but it's what you do with it. You can be attracted to somebody, but don't let it go to the extent where it becomes an unholy affair. No. Of course, if you see somebody who's beautiful, that's an attraction. Oh, you look nice. But don't go, imagining things in your head. You want to now have every woman that is attractive. There are many attractive women in the world.
So how many comes to you?
How many women are you going to possibly sleep with? There are many beautiful women in the world.
As many as he can afford.
No, you can't do that. It's indiscipline to do that. It's irresponsibility. That's how I see it. So if you have taken a vow, I'm a Christian, I'm a pastor, so I cannot have a side chick. Not that I cannot, I will not have a side chick, right? I will not sleep with another woman.
Go.
If I do that, it becomes adultery, and I don't want to do that.
So in situations whereby these men are very much, well, I have the money, I can do it, I'm a man. Solomon had, do you think in that situation the woman would say, you know what, if that's how you want to open up the marriage, let's go open it? It's
happening these days, right? So many people are living a lie. Sometimes they know that this is what is happening. The men especially think that they can have multiple partners, but not the women. I don't support that. Unfortunately, that's the society we live in. The men think that they can do it, but they don't want their women to do it. So that's hypocrisy. And that your husband is doing it is not also a license for you to do it, because you don't violate yourself because somebody else is doing that. But I hope that you're not inside that kind of a marriage where the man is for the public, because there are consequences for that. The man predisposes you to some dangers, even health-wise, and it's
Right.
not nice. So some women are dealing with illnesses and sicknesses today that are as a result of their husbands, indiscretions in that area. And I think people should stay true to the vows they took to be faithful to their partners. There are some religions that permit men to marry as many wives as they can cater to, but I'm glad I'm a Christian.
Right. This one asks, do you think African men are raised to be narcissists? Unconsciously.
Well,
Or having narcissistic traits unconsciously because of the responsibilities put on them.
to be honest, yes. Right? So who is a narcissist? Somebody who is overly interested in themselves. They put themselves first all the time. I think so, because back here, we're taught that the man is responsible. He is the provider. He's the protector. So when you leave that for him, it puts him in the driving seat. Okay? But in other climes where it's a contributory relationship, where they jointly pay the rent or pay the mortgage, where the bills are split, so they have some kind of an equal right in the relationship. So you can't wake up in the morning and say that this is your house. The woman should get out. Right. We paid for the house together. In fact, she has more rights than you do in that climb. Okay, but here, the man is the one who he has to pay the fees, he has to provide everything. So he feels that puts him, as a commander-in-chief. But it's not supposed to be like that. So somehow, the setting here makes the man to think that it's our world.
So inevitably, they are being raised
Like that.
narcissists.
Yeah. But that's generally.
Yeah.
Individually, they are very good men. Despite the society or the climb,
Right.
they know that, we shouldn't be living that way. And that's the men that I celebrate and I want to be like.
Men only respect women they know can easily walk out from their relationships. Truth or false?
Well, another one that I don't want us to generalize, but generally
Yeah.
it's true because, because that's why I said women should also try to have an economy.
That's not a traditional thing, though.
It's not a traditional thing, but if a man who knows that, this lady, maybe she's equally rich, or she has more money, right? She, as we say in local parlance, she brings things to the table. Those women are not really pushovers. Yeah, they're not. They're not really pushovers, right? Their men respect them. Their men actually know that I have to work hard to keep this woman. So you're kind of respected, and that's why I say to the women, make sure that you're not a pushover. Make sure that you put yourself in a position where a man doesn't just look down on you because you don't have. And I'm bringing on my daughters like that to say, you two can be the CEO of this company. You're going to school, you can have as much money as the man. Not that you'll be looking down on men because you have money, but just so that you two are seen as an important person in the society or anywhere you find yourself. Men respect women that help them.
But traditionally, I thought that it would be she's submissive, she's caring for the home, she's caring for him on the home front, she's providing for the kids, she's doing the traditional things. That's what he expects her to do. But what you're now saying is a bit more masculine inclined. Because once you go that part, you lose a bit of your femininity. So how does that make sense of you respect me more if I'm a bit more masculine now. I have, I can do certain things. I have money. I'm going out to spend. I'm doing stuff. Are you expecting me to still have that home front traditional responsibilities as well?
Money is not masculine.
Okay.
Yeah. So having money is not an exclusive preserve of the men. Women can actually have money, right? So what I'm saying is that in addition to doing all of those, please have money by the side. That's what I'm saying. Just have money, because and we can get a cook. We can hire a laundry company, right? We can hire a nanny.
So I'm not meant to lose my softness, my femininity.
You can have money and be soft. In fact, the more money you have, the softer you become.
The more money I go out to make.
You make
Not the
money.
money I give
I mean, there are women who are CEOs, they're captains of industry. Are you saying that they're not feminine?
I'm asking you that.
No, they are. I know many women who are CEOs and they still cook.
Or you call cooking being feminine?
That's part of what you said. Look,
Right.
home front. So it doesn't mean that you should not cook. There are still men who have all the money. They still do things in the house with their wives. So what I'm saying is, let's not bring up the girl child to believe that all you have to do is just do things in the home front. You can't be a successful career person. No, I'm not telling my daughters that. You can also have money, but no matter how much money you have, your head, as we say in local parlance, should be at home. You don't say because you have money as a woman and you become disrespectful to the man or your husband. I believe that a woman can have more money than the husband and still be humble.
What? I need to catch my breath. Just estimate what you just said. What do our men mean when they say or when they ask what a woman brings to the table? What does that mean?
What we just said now, as in, back in the day or before now.
When people are dating now,
Yeah.
they ask what
Yeah.
you bring to the table. What does that mean?
Before now, right? If I wanted to marry somebody, okay, I go to the parents, they'll ask her, what does he do? Where does he work? Right? I believe now parents should also be saying to their boys, this girl you want to marry, what does she do? Yeah. So that's what she bringing to the table. So if you say that, I don't want to marry a poor man, men too should not marry poor girls. That's one thing the Alpha Club teaches. Since you don't want to marry poor men, don't marry poor women. So what does she bring to the table? Ask, what does she do? Is she jobless?
Okay. Thank you for that insight. What are the cultural and modern beliefs of men being husbands and fathers?
Yeah. Well, I believe that any man can be a father. Being a father, you have a child, right? You're a father, but fatherhood does not stop there. It takes a lot more to be a father. You have to be invested in that your family, right? So that's where the husband comes in. You're the husband man. You have to fend for that your family. You have to tend your family like a garden, like God told Adam to tend the garden and keep it. So that's husbandry. You have to care for that family. You have to cater to them.
Financially only?
Everything, in all ramifications, as much as you can. There are levels in life. People say punch above your weight. So for every level in life, you can still bring your A game to it. If you're earning 100,000, you can manage your life around that your money. Be a father, be a husband. You provide. You pastor that home of yours, right? You provide leadership. That's it. Provide leadership. There are many non-resident fathers. They just give birth and off they go. They don't care. They don't care about the children. It's not a function of how much money you have, because there are many men, though they have money, they believe that fatherhood or being a husband is just about writing the check. So they don't know the schools where their kids attend. They have never been there in the lives of their kids. So they give the money to their mothers to pay the fees. She's the one who goes for the open day. She's the one who is in the lives of the children. And when they retire, they say that the children are facing their mother. It's because she's the only one they have known all the while. So in your high horse, try and play a fatherly role in the last school. Go to your children, go attend their sporting events in school, go to their open day, know their teachers, find out what they're doing in school. Say, bring your book. What have they taught you? Call them on the phone. Just show interest in their lives beyond the checks that you write. Because at the end of the day, being a father is not just about the presents. It's also about the presence. You have to be present in the lives of your children. Else, you're not going to be young forever. Forget that song, Forever Young. You can't be forever young. When you're old and you're retired, what the children will remember that will make them coming back to you in your 70s and 80s are the things you are doing now in their lives.
He treats you the way he feels about you. What do you think about that statement?
True. Yeah, it's very true.
He will.
It's very true.
Hey. So I love you and I miss you don't mean nothing. We should look out for he treats you the way he feels about you.
Of course, the way he feels about you is how he's going to treat you. If he wants to buy things for you, it's how he feels about you. The way he talks to you is how he feels about you. If he feels that you're nobody, he talks to you anyhow.
You have situations where, in domestic violence, for example, abuse, and you abuse the partner, whether it's the female or it's the male, they apologize, they hug you, and it happens again. I love you, I couldn't control my emotions, and they inflict pain on you. But then they fall back into they love me, they care about me, they're buying me things, how do you reconcile that as the victim?
Yeah, first time, a mistake, but if it happens frequently, it's no longer a mistake, it's a plan. It becomes a pattern. So you can't beat me today and apologize. We'll move on. You beat me tomorrow, you apologize. We'll move on, you beat me again. I mean, you're not intentional about it. It means you need help. So before you kill me, I'm going to have to leave that space.
So it's true. How they feel about you is how they treat you.
Exactly. If they feel that you're a piece of trash, they will treat you like that.
Okay. This generation feels like divorce is the right choice out of a bad marriage. Your advice about this?
Well, that's why I said people get married these days like they do in the West, in the Western world, where you can just meet a girl in the mall today and next week you're married. Marriage is not like that. I mean, you should calm down, don't rush into it, because if you rush in, you're probably going to rush out, right? Marriages have issues. I want to say it here now, loud and clear. Those people you see in Ashwebi, in church, or in that social gathering, may not be talking to themselves at home. They may be holding hands outside and, clinging to each other, kissing and hugging. At home, may not be like that. They may have agreed that outside, this is the front we're going to be putting up, right? And then you think it's like, oh, they're matching shoes or matching dresses. Well, no two marriages are the same, right? So if you have a problem in your marriage, jumping ship is not the best. Except, of course, it becomes violent. It is the only time I would say, okay, let's remove this lady from here or remove this man from here before they are killed. I believe that it is better I take you from the house with a car, with an Uber or a boat, than to take you with an ambulance. Because when somebody dies, there's nothing you would do that will bring them back to life. So if they're not, although there are two ways to this now, the man may not be hitting you physically, but it's the place of emotional abuse as well.
Right.
Before you lose your mind, you may just need to leave, I want to call it the crime scene. And maybe that moment when you guys are apart from each other, with a lot of counseling and direction, you can sort the problem out. But jumping out is never the best option. It's not the first, shouldn't be the first, and shouldn't be the best option.
Why do you think Nigerian courts drag divorces and the outcome appears to always favor the men?
I'm not aware that the outcome of divorce cases in Nigeria favor the men. I thought it was the other way around. Because from what I see, it's always the men crying out that, oh, I can't see my kids. You know, they've granted custody of the kids to the wife because the children are always minors. And naturally, you will expect any court to say, okay, the woman will keep custody of the children. Mm-hmm. The man gives child support until the children are of age to decide where to go.
We don't do child support here. The men literally have the money culturally because we're here. They're the providers, so they have the money. Women don't have the money to fight in court for long because it's expensive to be fighting in court.
So
you end up having the situation where school fees is not being paid because it says, well, I'm not paying the school fees because I'm not.
Well, not in all cases. I've seen some celebrated cases recently where the men are the ones who are crying that despite paying the school fees or giving the money, I'm being barred from seeing my children. But those are a few cases, right? I still think that I don't believe that these cases are skewed in favor of the men.
Why does it take forever for these courts to annul marriages?
Well, it's the Nigerian legal system.
4 years.
It's not just about marriage cases or divorce cases. It's the same thing you see in land dispute. The only cases I think get expedited here in Nigeria are political cases, where they go to court today, tomorrow the judgment is out. But people have land disputes in court that they die, and those cases are still there. So you have cases in court for 20 years, 30 years. I don't know why that is. That's why before you get into all of these things, or before you get into marriage, you should think about it. I don't think people should get to a point where it's not the court that is not deciding your marriage.
Future, yeah.
Be your own arbiter. Try to sort out the problems in-house as much as possible. Again, I say as long as it's not life-threatening.
Your wife is a mirror of how you treat her. Truth.
Yeah, your wife is what you make of her. Yeah, if you, that's in most cases, right? Because sometimes I've seen places where regardless of what the man has done, the woman has chosen to be in a certain way. But largely, your wife is what you make of her. Where there's love, she is who you have called her. It's like in local parlance, they say, whatever you call your dog, that's what your dog is, right? So if you think your wife is not educated enough, send her to school. If she doesn't know how to cook, organize cooking lessons for her. If you think she's not as fine, take her through the beauty routines.
So men are aware that women are the products of who or how they treat us.
Absolutely. If you treat your wife well, in most cases, she will give you the good that you deserve or you desire. Yeah, she'll make you happy. Women are nice. I'm not going to sit here and say that all women are evil. Right. No, and I don't think all men are evil as well. Because people who say that because they've had relationship with one or two men or women and then they generalize. No. If you invest in your wife, the returns will be good.
There was a post on social media that said, you better sit down, they do your own. about 99% of men are cheating. Let me not say all of them. So leaving your marriage because he's cheating is not the best option, young lady. Face your work and stop checking his phone. What do you think about this poster? What advice do you give this poster?
First, 99% of men are not cheating.
That's why she said,
Yeah.
she didn't say all, or they didn't say all. She said 99, not 100.
If your husband is cheating, doesn't mean that all men are cheating, right? I don't think you should be in a marriage where you cannot touch your husband's phone or your wife's phone. You should not also be in a marriage where your preoccupation is not your husband's phone or your wife's phone, trying to be sneaky, just go in there to go and find out things. And that's why I believe that spouses should be open to themselves. Don't hide things. Don't have a relationship you're hiding. If you're going to send me a message, just be sure that my wife can see it. So what am I going to be doing with you in the first place that you'll be sending me a message I'll be hiding from my wife? So if you're doing something sinister, that's when you begin to hide. If you're not doing anything stupid, I mean, what are you hiding? But that's not a license for you to now make your husband's phone your library. You shouldn't do that. There are better things you can read.
Okay, this last one says, my dad once told me, when you start a family, the family becomes your priority. Don't let anyone or anything come between that, not even me. That always stuck with me. Don't let the family that you come from destroy the family you build. Why or what do you think could have triggered this dad's advice?
His experience. Yeah, and you don't force your experience on other people. I told you about the communal nature of our setting in this part of the world, right? So you start a family, you should take care of your family, right? But do not neglect the family that brought you up to start your own family. They brought you up for you to start your own family.
But he is now saying, make yours a priority.
Of course, your family will be, is by default, your family will be a priority, right? You want to cater to your family, but do not neglect that you can't neglect your mother. I've sent money to my mother today. I don't have to tell my wife that, please, can I send money to my mother? And that's why I said, can you make some money? Make some money to be able to take care of your family, right? Yes, I will not let anyone suffer. Yeah, I won't let anyone suffer because my parents also slaved for me. And I cannot say because I'm married now, I will ignore my mother. I will not. But I thank God I have resources enough to be able to cater to my mother. And I'm not the only one, right? So we are many of us, right? So even if I was the only child, I will still cater to my mother. And I'm sure my wife is not going to frown at that. Yeah.
When our men say, I want her to be my peace, please, let's hear, what does that mean? When you guys say you want us to be your peace, what does that mean? Like, it's a verb. What does that mean?
Yeah, I hope she is, because a man, no matter what he faces outside, he believes that when he gets home, the home should be like a haven. If he's troubled outside, when he gets back home, he should have peace of mind. If they're fighting him outside, if he gets back home, he shouldn't have battles and wars. So when you say, I want you to be my peace, it means that I want you to be my go-to person. Even if I want to be vulnerable, I'd rather be vulnerable with you than anywhere else. So the home...
But what you are describing now sounds like the ideal, I want to be my peace.
Yes.
Do you think this generation, that is what they mean by I want to be my peace? Because what you're saying actually makes a lot of sense to me.
Yes. So people have become more and more selfish these days, right? When they say I want to be my peace, I'm sure money will be somewhere by the side so that somebody that you can throw your problems on, right? But that's not the experience or the scenario I painted earlier
Right.
is what I will go with. That's what I would think.
Okay.
You know, I want my wife to be somebody who is my last resort. You know,
But talking about or being on the Alpha Club,
Yeah.
you know that is not what they're talking about being my peace. That it seems as though being my peace, women understand that by you accepting whatever they do and not say anything, not
No.
challenge anything.
no.
That's what we think.
No,
That's
it shouldn't be like
read
that.
on social media. People think being your peace means you
Whatever he does,
whatever they do
is nice.
Don't
It's okay.
challenge, don't accept,
No.
don't.
No, that's
do
that's
anything.
that's being manipulative. Your wife can say this thing. That's one of the reasons she's there, right? To say to you that this thing you want to do, can you look at it again? Your wife should be able to be that check for you. And many times when women have said, "Can you look at this again?" If they went ahead without looking at it again, they've always burned their fingers. So it shouldn't be, oh, be my peace, whatever you bring is okay, or whatever you decide. No. It shouldn't be that kind of relationship. You should be able to make a contribution in your man's life and tell him, I don't think this is right.
But the thing is controlling. They were controlling them. You already know. They said the woman rapper. They are controlling you.
Yeah, they can say that. You know, you should be able to make a contribution. And a man should be humble enough to accept the advice. Yeah,
Humble.
Yeah, yeah, should be humble enough to accept advice from the wife. You should consult your wife when you're doing things. You want to take a decision. You should be able to ask her. No, it doesn't make you like what they say, a woman rapper or something. You're together. Your partners. You can imagine having a business. There's a partnership. The fact that you're the principal partner doesn't mean you should ignore the other partners in the business. Otherwise, there'll be trouble. So you have a partner in your wife. If you're going to take decisions, you should ask. You should say, look, what do you think? Because she's not a robot. She's a human being. She has ideas as well. There are some wives who are wiser than their husbands. So that you are the male figure in the home doesn't mean that you know everything. I've taken advice from my wife many times, and it turned out to be good. But that doesn't mean that as a man, you don't have a mind of your own.
Okay. What do you think what are your top 3 behaviors men dislike about women?
Disrespect, infidelity, and a woman who doesn't take advice.
You just said now that she has her own mind now. So what
Yeah.
if the advice you're giving me contradicts what I want to do? Does that mean
All the time. I cannot be giving you advice and contracts what to do all the time. It means nothing, but which means you don't want the man to have a say in what you're doing.
Okay.
So it happens mainly when the woman has, some influence. She has some fortune. So the man begins to feel maybe because of the money she doesn't listen. So I cannot have a wife who will not listen to me.
particular advice?
Yeah.
So respect, infidelity, and taking advice.
The one who is incorrigible. You can't correct her. You can't talk to her. You can't tell her this thing you're doing is not good. And she listens.
Noted. What are the top 3 things you think we women need to know or understand about our African men in order to have a successful relationship?
I think I'll flip those 3 things around.
Okay.
A man always wants to be respected. Make him feel like a king.
What does that mean? Please.
Yeah, make him...
Aside from me cooking, what else?
Yeah, just honor the man in your life.
You're a man.
Yes.
What does that? Give me an example.
Give
every day. What does that mean?
him first place, right? Defer to him. Just like I will ask men to also just consult with their wives. Give your man, put him in charge, or make him feel like he's in charge. Even though there's a way you can go around it, right? Like they said, women are controlling the man, but make this man feel like he's your king. He can do anything for you.
So give him more examples of what that looks like, make him feel like a king. What are the things, like people want, what does that mean in literal forms? Any examples of things you would want to see that would make you feel like a king?
Okay, so
If you have a young girl listening to it now, getting married, like what behaviors are these that would, make her understand what that means?
you know there's some women that before they even tell their husbands about anything, they have done it.
It's not supposed to be so. No?
I know. The way the woman wants to be involved in things, that's how the man also, a man will feel like you respect him when you make him feel like you cannot even lift a finger if you don't consult with him. You may have made up your mind of what you want to do, but I think your advice is best for me. What you think I should do about this? Yeah.
What else?
Yes, I said I was going to flip those things around, right? Make the man to trust you, to know that you are mine and mine alone, right? Don't give him reasons to think twice about your loyalty to him in all ramifications. Yeah.
What else?
And of course,
What else are we getting wrong? We need to know to have the successful. Just give me tips to be a better woman for him.
Okay, so all men are not the same. All men don't have the same capacity. Don't compare any man to any man.
Okay.
We're different.
You don't like that. Don't do
No,
that.
I don't like that. Don't say, oh, because this man did this for the wife, you have to do it for me. Oh, I'm going to say this now. Oh, her 50 years was in Hawaii. I'm going to be 50 next year. You have
What
to
I
take
do
me
for
there.
me.
Yeah. He may not have the resources to do that, right? He may not. So many times, as we say in local, and they tension the man. Society compares, so this is happening there. He bought her this, he has to buy me that. They put him under pressure. Don't do that. Know the capacity of your man and be content with such things as you have. That's what the Bible says. So you should be able to live within the confines of what the man is able to provide. And that's why I've also said the woman should have her own money. So if you feel that he's not providing enough, you can argument what he has provided. Help him.
And that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Help him.
There's no ego issues like...
No. I'm not going to be...
Some will feel disrespected.
No, please disrespect me like that. Disrespect me with your resources. Men need help. And that's what Alpha Club promotes, right? To say that, forget about that ego. The man needs help. And men love women that help them.
In love.
If you tell the man, I've paid the rent, there's something it does to it elongates his life. Don't worry, I paid the children's school fees this term. Oh, I just bought you a car. Why can't we have, women buy, I've changed your car.
So even though I know you can afford it, but I do it.
You do it, yes.
It gives you guys...
Yes, makes you feel more comfortable. It gives you more confidence that your wife is there. She's got your back. She can help you. Yeah, she can help you. Give him money. Although sometimes the man will say, don't worry, I don't... So you can do it. Just do things around the house that he spends money on. Not paying the school fees, but some women have helped to pay school fees. I said, don't tell him I paid. When he pays, I'll get my money back.
Oh.
But I also know many women who are even breadwinners of the home. Beyond the school fees, they pay the rent, they take care of family. They even take care of the man's family to make the man's family feel as though nothing is wrong financially. And I greet those women and say to them that God bless them. Generally, just try and help your spouse.
Wow. Love. Thank you so much.
It's my
Where
pleasure.
can people find you if they're looking for you?
Yeah, I'm at Inspiration FM. I have a day job there.
You have a night job somewhere?
Yeah, I have a 9 to
Since
5
you have
there.
a day job, do you have a night job,
Well,
Captain?
So you can find me there. I'm on the radio every weekday, 5 to 10 a.m. You can find me there. But on social media, I am at Captain Smart 007 on Instagram.
James Bond. Was that what was meant?
No, so from the FM in Calabar, there is Stone Cold 007. So I picked 007 from there.
Not James Bond.
No, not James Bond.
Nice. Well, thank you, Captain, for having you. Thanks for all the nuggets and insights. And I always want to talk relationship with you. So thank you
Thank
for
you, man. Thank you for having
listening
me.
and coming.
Yeah, Mary with a voice.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is Mary with the Voice podcast, healing souls one story at a time.